it was.
Hey, where's our friend Dad Swain? Hey!
Oh no!
Welcome to LeafCast. We are a live talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. We are a full spoiler show, so if you've not read the entire series Wheel of Time, please listen with caution. But yeah, like, we are continuing our Read React series while we cover the philosophy of the Wheel of Time, this amazing little book, a compendium of philosophy articles, philosophical articles, all centered around the Wheel of Time. And we have chapter 3 on the docket.
Yeah, Ryan, checked it. Ryan, can you check your mic real fast?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to be talking about chapter 3. It's called "We Call Ourselves Gleeman Because a Silly Name Makes Us Less Frightening: Artist, Marginality, and Epistemic Privilege" by Tracy Phillipson. Tracy Phillipson is an assistant professor of philosophy at Loras College in Dubuque, Iowa. She specializes in the history of philosophy with a focus on medieval philosophy in the Arabic and Latin tradition. She also works and teaches in ethics and the philosophy of religion. I wish she was on to talk to us about this, because I have a lot of religion questions in regards to the Wheel of Time and epistemology.
Nice. Say that again 3 times fast, Dan.
Yeah, really. I'm going to call it just point of view, not point of view, but from I don't know. I'll come up with something besides epistemic, because I know I'm going to destroy that several times. But essentially, epistemology is the philosophical study of how and why we know things, where our knowledge comes from, what it is, etc. And this is what this essay attempts to dig into in regards to the Wheel of Time, and more specifically, Tom Marilyn the Gleeman. Hello, Jansen, the Gleeman. Hello. Speaking of the Gleeman,
how you doing, guys?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Things are good. The maturation of these 2 new German Shepherd puppies into my family has been difficult but fun. And they're going to be very large dogs, so that's going to be fun.
That is cool.
But in reference to week 3, chapter 3 of this book, and I got to tell you, I was not as happy. Well, not happy is not the word. I did not enjoy the 3rd chapter. I had a lot of things I thought were wrong with it. The first being, like when Brother Dan just said, "I wish she was here." I would ask her if she actually read the book.
No, it seemed clear that she hadn't. It definitely seemed clear that she hadn't. So, everyone in chat, if you haven't yet, I would love to find out who's actually reading along with us. If you have the book, let me know in chat. But before we get into criticism, let me just kind of give a little breakdown. This author is focusing on the idea of what she's calling epistemic privilege. And there is a stance in philosophy that says that if you are like an outside of a group, if you're in a marginalized group, you can see more truly what is happening in the in-group. So if you're on the outside, you can see more clearly and have more, lowercase t truths about what's going on, as opposed to if you're amidst it, in the middle of it. So go on.
I feel that we could have a conversation in this hour about the Wheel of Time and the epistemic privileges that characters have better than this author could have done in the chapter that she wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It isn't. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, yeah, like it's a very narrowly focused article based on one like narrow aspect of this whole like philosophy of um etymology.
Yeah.
And
And
so, or epistemology. So, like for her, so it was a very interestingly written article in that she brings up a lot of examples, but all the examples are from the television show itself.
exactly. And
And yeah, go on.
yeah, that does the Wheel of Time a huge disservice for so many different ways. But because one, she picked a great character to do this about. However, the Tom Maryland from the show is at best a caricature of the character that he was in the book. And there are, and it cheapens Tom Maryland as a character because she could have used way better better examples from the Wheel of Time with Tom Maryland included from the book itself, not from this show, because she was writing some things about his knowledge and what he knows. But this entire chapter started off with a quote not from the book.
Mm-hmm. This is it being clearly from the show. I mean, I guess she does make a decent point in regards to that Tom Maryland and that Gleeman that we see. In that, yeah, he is working scummy bars. He's burying Aiel on the road. He's begging for money after half a song. But the Gleeman that we know within the eye of the world itself is much different. I mean, they're like, oh shit, a Gleeman's coming? Are you kidding me? That's crazy. It's the best Beltane ever. We don't get that impression in the show that is what a Gleeman does. And I guess in this essay as well, this is the point of view that she's coming from, but it's wrong. That isn't Tom Maryland. And I think if we were able to flesh him out more within the show, that would have been more evident.
I agree with you. But I also think that some of her, I think she was trying to explain something that she couldn't explain. At least she couldn't explain the way that she wanted to, because Tom Maryland, she tried to get it across that Tom Maryland had this power that not only could he be in a place that had kings and queens and all of these people, but he could also walk through a place that had the lowest of the low, and he could learn from all of them. And they even talk about this in what it was, I believe, A Crown of Swords. I believe when they went to Ibudar, and through Matt's POV, they were talking about Tom and Julian going down and staying in the workers' quarters, in the maids' quarters. And they talked about how Julian would get in trouble when he came up, but Tom Maryland never did, because for some reason they just thought it was how he was supposed to be. He got along with everybody, did Tom Maryland. I think that's a direct quote from the book. And he was able to function and navigate the world in around everyone. So that was a certain kind of power that he had. And I can see how the author was trying to say that, and how they were trying to say how a Gleeman, we call ourselves Gleemans, so we're not as terrifying because, of this. Even in our world, in the real world, we talk about knowledge is power, knowing history is power, and we understand and try to know history so we don't make the same mistakes that we made before. And these Gleemen are people who collected history and stories and knew all those things, making them powerful.
Yeah, let's see what Josh has to say about this.
Yeah.
Hi, Joshy.
Hey, guys.
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Good.
Well, thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
So we're talking epistemic privilege and marginality. So we were just contrasting the Tom Maryland from the show with Tom Maryland of the books, and
Yeah, I was listening.
suggesting that was her argument is mostly it doesn't make all that much sense if you have any idea of Tom Maryland from the books to a
Yeah,
certain degree.
he's not a disregarded outsider who like he has a history of like relations with powerful people in like court and right like
Sure.
and Andal, and he's like he chose to become this kind of outsider person on his own instead of just like it being ascribed to him. What do you think of this
Did he,
idea
or did
of
he flee after being kicked out by Morghese? I mean, wasn't that a part of his identity? Is that he kind of got ousted for having the feelings that he did, or like standing up to her in the way that he did?
He did, but he was still able to function in all of those kinds of environments.
Yeah.
And I don't think we really know exactly what went down, do we, Jansen?
Yeah, we do. Yes.
We know the exact thing that he...
Well, Owen, his nephew, started channeling. The Red Aja sent a message to Andor through the White Tower via Camelin to Elida, who was not only a huge, high up Aes Sedai in her own right, but obviously a Red, and advisor to Queen Morghese. So when Queen Morghese's lover, being Tom, heard about this and knew about it, he obviously wanted to defend
his family, right?
Yeah. And when they had the confrontation between both, that's when Tom said some things that he shouldn't have said that we heard via Basil Gill's POV to Matt and Rand, that said some things that you shouldn't say to a woman, any woman, I think he says, and especially one with Morghese's spirit. So he says that, and then he gets back to the tower before Gareth Bryn finds him, and gets back to Camelin and out, and goes on pretty much
disappears, right?
Yeah, 15 year, wandering through Andor, and spent a lot of time, obviously, in Barillon, where he got to know a lot of people, including Padden Fane and other people, because he knew who he was when he came to Emmett's Field.
Right.
And then got the message from Bran Alvear to come down on winter night and perform for Beltane. And that's when his story starts.
Is it possible that Gleeman are kind of reputationally known as dirtbags, and we don't really know that because what we're seeing them from
because of Tom's
the eyes of
pedigree?
Peasants?
No, I think Tom,
because when you get into a big city, they're all over the place, right? And Tom's like all sneering at him. He's like, psh, pathetic, psh, poser, psh, look at this fucking guy, psh. And he's walking and like he sees them, and yeah, they're cut rate. I mean, you don't need a state license or a degree in order to be a Gleeman. All you got to do is fucking juggle.
Yeah, Tom
and be a bard, right? I mean.
Yeah.
Well, he also, raises a very, very interesting philosophical debate about being book smart versus being street smart. And because Tom is someone who is both,
right?
In these books, but we come across other people who are one or the other. Like the most street smart person in the entire show, obviously, is Matt. And he uses his street smarts by things that he learned from his father figures and from being the two biggest, his own father and the one who he used to be, Madik Kamadu.
Who?
Yeah, who?
Madik Kamadu.
I was waiting for that.
Welcome to Jansen, Josh.
One of the souls that Matt consumed and got granted from the
Aethelin
were one of the greatest generals who ever lived, and he was the writer of Fog and Steel.
Yeah, I
And
recall.
Fog and Steel is actually, what is it? The quote that is the start of, I believe it's Knife of Dreams. It's the sweetness of victory and the bitterness to defeat are as a life of dreams, from Fog and Steel by Matt Comadron. That's his direct quote from that. And that's, Matt quotes him all the time and uses his knowledge as a general.
Right. And this is one of the people who wrote in the Old Tongue.
Yeah. And it's obviously was one of Matt's biggest influences. So I use him as one of Matt's father figures because Matt always quotes, everybody he quotes, it seems, was a father figure, from Tom to Comadron, and especially his own father, who gives him all those wise things that he grew up with him.
About the ladies. Yeah, he really
about
had
the ladies, so many things.
Horse
it
trading,
really is true. If you can get a woman to feed you, you can really get on her good side. Things like that. And we get some really great quotes from Matt that way. But yeah, it's we see the street smarts in Tom when he's hanging out with all of the help, with all of the cooks and the maids and all those people who just he gets along with, and it's easy for him to get along. But we see him when he's talking to people like Elaine and kings and queens, and he gets along extremely well. And Tuon and the Shanshan all saw that, because they thought he was obviously a spy, obviously a very good spy. He gets along well in any kind of environment, and well with everyone. So they thought he was a spy, because of him being street smart and being book smart.
Hey, welcome, man. Hi, Agus. All right. Sorry. Well, let me bring this back to the topic then. So I do agree that marginalization does, to a certain degree, expand your point of view and your horizons to a bit. You become a little bit more empathetic at times if you can afford to be,
right.
By having had some experience of suffering or have suffering around you, I would think. I also think that so epistemology, is it all singular? They call it, I mean, it's standpoint theory is another kind of broad term for it, correct? So if, let's say, my dad's generation, where they all were drafted and went to war, is that a shared epistemic? Is that point of view, or is it just through their individual thing as a soldier, as opposed to this one guy who was a tank guy to this one guy who was a general?
Oh, I believe he has privilege as far as understanding. They even talk about this in the Wheel of Time with people like Bukama in New Spring, and they also talk about it with Uno, how they only get along and talk about it and are smiling at other old soldiers who can understand and what they've been through, and they get that certain kind of benefit of, brotherhood from those people, because they've been through those things together.
What they've been through. The World War II, in the trenches kind of.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thing. So let's stay with Vietnam. So there was a certain generation that were drafted. There was a certain generation that were at school or something. And then there was a certain part of that generation that were able to bypass the whole process. And you would think their standpoint theory throughout their stories are each ripples out. I would think the person that stayed at home does not have the same epistemic privilege, I suppose, to someone who was deferred because they were in college, as opposed to someone who actually went overseas and had to fight against people they don't know. So I agree that marginality does, you just get more experience, right?
Well, it's amazing that a coup could start from something so humble of a conversation like this, but it obviously could.
But on the flip side,
because Lord Barthanas seems to be president, so it doesn't matter. It's like, and I don't think Barthanas ever held a pike in the Wheel of Time. So
if you have someone if we're talking marginality, so let's take Noel, the wolf brother who succumbed to the wolf, right? He was perhaps the most marginalized person. Does his epistemic privilege then is that just like max? I'm not quite sure how we taking the one who had the shittiest lot in life in the story and saying that they are epistemically more privileged or have more
well, privilege is a weird term for it. I mean, it's more that all knowledge is all knowledge is situated within the context of your social experience. It's not that one takes priority over another. There's a hierarchy. It's that all knowledge is always contextualized. The generation of knowledge itself is contextualized within the social dynamic relationship of the thinker and their experience of the world. It's not that any of them take priority. It's just that each of them has their own origin, and knowledge that's generated within each of those perspectives is different, right?
And so, do you deny the idea of epistemic privilege then, or do you want to? Do you feel? I think what they're trying to get at is like they're trying to name a phenomenon that is like exigent. It's just happening, and they're trying to name it. And they're trying to like label it and honor it in a way. So like, and I understand it's like when you're like oppressed and there's like power dynamics are working against you, like I understand like looking into that and trying to give it like a voice and give it a name and honor it, like literally saying like you, but it's such the idea of calling it privilege, I almost wish there was a different word for it.
Well, that's what I was about to say, because who are we to judge and say gnome is the lowest of the low? The wolves wouldn't say that.
Yep.
So, is it depending on who's looking at it, it could be an epistemic privilege.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, you could be
like,
in a
you are
lower
part of
class.
our group because we understand, so it could be a privilege, and definitely and that's why I didn't like this chapter, because it was almost like she was trying to say an advantage is a privilege, but these privileges or advantages, a lot of them, especially Tom's, like especially his more than almost anybody else, were achieved by trial and error and about the things that happened to him in his life. And that can happen to so many other people in the Wheel of Time, like the maids, the key, the holders of the keys had a lot of privilege and knew things that other people didn't know, and advantages, like in the same way that Tom did by his environment.
Well, the author here does say in the very last paragraph, it reads, perhaps if we view Tom's epistemic standpoint as not privileged but different, we can retain some of the positive aspects of his special place as an artist with access to multiple social systems without having to take his view as always correct. So I guess that's the thing. Like the little birds in Game of Thrones that Varys uses, they are the ones that have the most truth, right? So we're looking for truth.
Well, there's different kinds.
Or are we looking at people who are scared shitless of the media? Because
what do you mean? Lay that out more.
Well, they keep saying that Tom is like, especially this author, because she obviously didn't read the book. She was just going from the show. Talking about and focusing it on a quote that never came from Robert Jordan or Brandon Sanderson about, Gleeman being the most dangerous people on the planet. And they're referring to what they know because of what they remembered, what they can talk about, how they can recite history, and how they can make sure people don't, especially tyrants, don't make the same mistakes that they made before, so they don't push them up. So it's like, so why are you trying to silence the Gleeman? He's the guy who remembers everything, who's trying to tell people what's happening.
That's sort of, if history is always told through the eye of the winners, and the Gleeman remember the multiplicity of truth, then sometimes, if you want to control the narrative, you need to silence those who have a different perspective.
Then that does make him like scary as shit to some people.
Yeah. I mean, they are sort of the media. I see where you're coming
Yeah.
from in this context. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that there is an epistemic privilege in being a drug dealer.
I
And
have
the
been a
cops-
bartender for 30 years, and there is.
I mean, right? I mean, so we could say that someone that is on the margins in that aspect is illegal, is operating an illegal thing where the cops are perhaps or perhaps not trying to actively shut them down, and
Right.
they are just going off of leads, while you, as the person on the margins, as someone either purchasing or dealing, are in the know. Let's say you know which garage to knock on. You know,
I mean, the show The Blacklist is all about this. It's all about this. It's about a guy who's horrible, who has a position and uses that to get less horrible people put away so he can hold the status quo.
Okay, so let me piggyback off that then, because we have characters within our story who have voices in their head or have memories that are not theirs.
Yes.
What is Matt's epistemic privilege if he is
well, you can argue
endowed with these
Rand has
instead
that
of earning
too by carrying the memories of past dragons, right? So
yeah, Luce Theron and such. Yeah. So I mean, even Brigitte remembers earning her privilege, I suppose. Her difference. She was there. But what do we do with Matt?
Matt did it 2 different separate ways, though, remember. Matt was never without money. And anybody who you are ever around without money is always somebody you want to be around. Because he's always has money. And all of the douchebags in Tyr and Carrion and everywhere else wanted Matt around, because not only was he fun to be around, he had plenty of money. So that put him in those circles. But his memories instantly put him okay and in good graces with every soldier that was around him. They wanted to follow him as soon as they talked to him within 5 minutes.
It's the band of the Red Hand having this kind of allure.
He had that privilege of and Piran and Matt and Rand also had the privilege of being as charismatic as they was, because they were Tavernness drew people in.
Right.
But yeah, if you're a soldier and you meet a guy like Matt, you're like, shit, man, this dude, we don't lose. We're making money, we're doing well, like, let's go.
Right. But yeah, so how do we bring epistemology into fantasy series like this, where you can have? So I'm still struggling.
Well, remember,
are the two?
So a dominant group can have epistemic privilege, right? Because their knowledge is readily accepted as the status quo, whereas a marginalized group has epistemic privilege and understanding their own experiences and oppression from firsthand understanding of the world, right? So both can be true simultaneously. It's not that there's only one type of epistemic privilege. It's that different perspectives have a privilege over others.
Yeah.
And in general, the less marginalized you are as a group, the more epistemic privilege your knowledge and power has in being accepted as the status quo and recognized that more easily as truth, right?
And there's that word, truth. Like, I feel like what this person is arguing is that
is the opposite.
Epistemic privilege gets you closer to truth.
Not
just you have a different POV and you could like access.
Exactly. If you're marginalized, then yes, it gets you closer to the truth on the ground, right? Like that's where you go back to Little Birds.
Yeah, this is another reason why I so wish she read the books, because you were asking about Matt, another very, very subtle way that he had this privilege where if you even, and this was such creative and great writing, if you even remember and read back how different like servants and like, waitresses and owners and bartenders in the books treated Matt differently than they did everybody else. They liked him. Yeah. They really truly liked Matt. They had a camaraderie with Matt from everyone. And this goes even into other people like the wise ones. I believe it was as soon as him and Rand got back from Roydan, in Rand's POV, it says, like always, Matt getting good with the women. And
Yeah, but
he made the women laugh, and like, you know, just like always, you know, and it was like that Matt was a good with common people because that's where he came from, and he stayed to that.
But that's the thing
More than
that he
anyone else, I
plays
think
with.
he did.
That they're better with women is something that they all three of the boys like say
thought
about one
each
another.
other, yeah.
So it's a little hard for me to like latch onto that. I agree with what you're saying, but it's also like,
oh no, you can.
there's a
other
ploy there
examples.
that's going on.
Oh, there's so many other examples. Like, remember Satella Anan in Abu Dar? As soon as the girls came in looking for Matt, she jumped on to save him, and she even told Matt, "I'm in this to protect you." You know, Matt had a way with servants and everyone else. You know, he more so. I mean, people were scared of Perrin and Rand. You know, like Perrin was this monster of a man with yellow wolf eyes who always looked pondering and mad, and Rand was a ticking time nuclear bomb walking around.
Right.
Matt was a likable guy for the common man.
Let me get back to Noel. So Noel, the existence that we had of Noel was that they essentially had him locked in a cage, would toss him food, he would snarl, he was just kind of stuck in the dark for a while until someone let him free. It was a parent said, "Go, get out of here, kid." With that level of marginalization, is there a point where your epistemic difference in privilege begins to shrink because of the level of your marginalization? If you're in like, let's say you are a demone stuck in a cell with no windows for like 2 years, does this increase your epistemic core by being so marginalized, or is there a point where it's just too much and suddenly this epistemic whatever, this standpoint no longer is valid or no longer works because you are at a point where you've been abused to you hear what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think anybody in any position, I don't think you have to go through anything bad to actually be put in a position like that. You know, to be put in a position where your environment benefits you, whether that's people or just the land or whatever, because of what you've been through or who you are or anything like that. I don't think being good or evil or the thing that happens to you matters.
But no. Well, I'm not. According to this article, we have as an example where Matt is going to steal from the dead Aiel, and Tom, instead of stopping him, it says, "quote Indeed, the Gleeman sees the embarrassment on Matt's face and steps away, saying, 'We've all had our desperate moments. Tell me when you're finished.' As a person who exists not only on the social margins, but also on the economic margins, relying on donations for the Gleeman to make his way, it is no surprise that Tom can understand Matt's desperation."
How dare she, though? You know, it's like she's writing this from a standpoint that she's better than someone who makes a decision that she wouldn't make.
Well, I think this comes down to that question of like ethics versus morality, right? Like,
yeah. For
ethics,
sure.
Ethics in this case, like Tom can recognize that there are situations where like making a hard call like that falls within the realms of need.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, do you think the Matt in the books would have done that?
Would have stolen from a dead body in a cage?
Which Matt and when? Yeah, I mean that early on in the books, probably.
The entire,
pre-Dagger Matt, probably. Yes, would have done that. Which is what was going on in the show too.
I
right?
agree. I agree with you. Because pre-Dagger Matt stole the dagger. You're right. I believe you.
I don't think he would have. I think the Two Rivers probably has some sort of respect for the dead, and he would have kept his dirty hands off. But this Matt also stole from a woman that he was
about that in the Wheel of Time. When is that? When was that? Oh, New Spring. That happened in New Spring when, what was the Kiedron? Kiedron was his name, I believe. Who was the guy who tried to tried to kill Moraine and shot Lan when he was young with Bukama and Rhine. And he was paid to do it by that guy who was after Moraine. What was his name?
I don't remember this.
I can't remember. That goes deep.
Cerberus. That's what I meant to say. Welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, but no, when they killed the guy, through Moraine's POV, she said they would not take anything from him, his dead body. They left the money. So they left 10 gold crowns in the sack when Kiedron died.
Okay, yeah, this is coming back to me now. Okay, yeah.
I mean, if Matt was playing D&D, he totally would loot the bodies. But I don't think real life Matt would necessarily loot a body that's hanging in a cage. I don't think so.
Is this when he gets Lan gets shot by the bow and arrow from like far away?
Yeah, that was
okay.
Kiedron, who was under Lan's command.
Don't they choose to leave the money though because of where it came from?
Yeah, she said they wanted nothing to do with the man.
Yeah,
that's what that was the text. It says I think it said they wanted nothing to do with him, not even his money.
Right. Accursed.
Well, so I would like to bring this idea of epistemology into the real-time novels themselves. So what's fun about how Robert Jordan wrote it is it's a POV based, like first-person POV, and it's a flawed POV. And we get to, like, we've had many discussions about how is this all working out? Like, someone asked Robert Jordan a long time ago, why are there no churches? And he said, because the concept of good and evil is self-evident to these people, which is very interesting. And I've thought about that for a very long time. How is this even possible? And we have these examples of, like, we're introduced to the idea of Forsaken, because Forsaken were stories that children were told by their parents to, like, make sure they don't wander off in the woods alone at night, right? Like the Forsaken were just like evil boogeymen, who just happen to be real. Yeah, we have evil boogeymen. I haven't met the monster under my bed yet. But I believed it existed before. But these people like scare their kids, and then it turns out, Grendel's real, Samael's real. It's all kind of twisted around. Like how, like I don't know how to start the conversation, but how is it possible for that an entire race of being, the entire Randland itself, no, unquestioningly, not even faith. It's like they just know, like they know that there's a dark one and a creator, like they know the sun is going to come up in the morning. How is
we have
possible?
to start with it being a fictional land,
right?
But still, it's look at Russia, right? There's no religion in Russia. There's not supposed to be, and they've been given a set of rules of what they can and can't do, what's been right, what's wrong, and they follow those rules. And as a population, if somebody steps outside of those rules, they're wrong. If they don't, they're right, I guess. I guess it could be as simple as that. We do have the white cloaks who have the zeal to, tell people what to do as far as what Lothar Mantelor wrote in the way, and it follows the light, apparently.
But I think Ryan's asking, as far as from an epistemic, where do we get our knowledge from? We have an entire land of believers, and they're right. Gosh darn it, there is a dark one stuck in a boar, and there are Forsaken, and etc. They are
I'd like to
right.
know what this quote actually is. I mean, I'm not seeing it, just Googling, but
Which quote?
what Robert Jordan said about why there are no churches in the Wheel of Time. Because to me, it makes more sense that, like, because the one power is there and you're constantly seeing miracles, and like the dragon who's literally the Messiah is constantly being reborn. Like, you just don't, faith isn't required, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's
Exactly.
that's more what it is than it is that they have some like moral certitude that
Well, and when you
shows them
think
that good
about
and evil exists, and they don't know which.
Well,
I mean,
how about this? So, like, the idea is that we living right now, we are in, I guess, the first age, right? And in the exact same world,
sure.
we are a turning. That's why there's Mercedes-Benz symbols. That's why there is
Well, I
fucking
mean, there can be a
giraffes or
parallel.
whatever.
It doesn't have to be our world. It can be a parallel world where there's also Mercedes Benz, right? Like,
Okay, well, if
but
okay,
yes, it's
but
it's
that
enticing. It's enticing to think.
so that, but we don't know this stuff. We don't believe this stuff. It's not self-evident to us. We need churches. We need like prophets. We need people like leading us around, telling us to give money and shit. Like, but in like 2 ages in the future, they just know.
well,
Yeah, but go ahead, Jansen.
think about this. So you go back
300
2000,
years,
2000
2,000 years ago.
and you
Yep.
tell somebody about a guy named Neil Armstrong. Now, keep in mind, this guy's name is Neil Armstrong, right?
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Who flies to the sky, to the stars, and comes back. That is
Yeah.
far, far, far from even a fairy tale 2,000 years ago. That is something you can't even imagine. That is
It's literally
God
like of the gods. Yeah.
speech, right?
Yeah.
That's godlike speech. That's okay. You're talking about Apollo. That's what happened.
Or Icarus.
So it's that far of a stretch to me. How a name could change in 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years. I mean,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Well, but let me get back to but this is just known. There, as far as epistemology, is this just considered cultural knowledge that's more or less species wide? Well, yeah. I
Or
mean, even the
have
Shanshan
they
have
like
their know about the Dark One and stuff. They just have different they have different rules. They're a different sect of the whole thing, but they're still monotheists. They still know about a creator and a Dark One.
Well, some of the things that everybody celebrated. Remember, at us as societies, a lot of our holidays are religious based, like Christmas, Hanukkah, Yom Kippur, and all those other religions. And in the Wheel of Time, we had Beltane, which everyone celebrated. We had Winter Night, and we had certain other ones that other cities did, and other places, countries did not celebrate. So there was a lot of differences between the way that people, celebrated culturally. But then when you think about other things that might happen in religion, like getting married, things like that. Where did people go to get married? They went to steadings, to Ogier. Like rich people went to Ogier, or they went to Aes Sedai, or they went to the Mare, or they went to the Wisdom, or they went to, they went to all those things. And that is like 99% in our world. Most people go to a religious-based thing for that. But in the Wheel of Time, they went to where they would have their, their mental focused, I guess they're spiritual healers or whatever, the healers, the people of authority is where they went to get married, apparently. The mayors, those people, the Aes Sedai.
Yeah, the state. How
It's a
about
social construct.
here's a question. Like, what is Robert George saying that like in 2 ages from now, they've evolved to this knowledge, like it's epigenetically passed on in a way that like Right? Or is he saying that it's just culturally reinforced over and over again, so that like all peoples believe in this? So, and I want to
And what is the
argue.
this that you're talking about? The one power, or are you talking
No,
about good
no,
and
the
evil?
idea that like there's no like what he said. I think is like the concept of good and evil is self-evident. Like the creator and the dark one are self-evident. So here, Nomagarden says the answer is the one power. If
Yeah.
common people today could walk around performing miracles at will, we wouldn't have as much need for that confirmation. And I
Or
want to
even to
argue
witness a
that
single miracle. I mean, not to
I
be
know.
the
All right, hey
Yeah,
guys, we were
we
just
are the best
nominated for
gay
the
streamer.
best gay
Thanks, brother.
streamer. Wait,
Baba
wait, guys,
Herty 13.
wait.
You are
So
so
wait.
right. You
So
are so
if
right.
but I want to put out that like in the Two Rivers, we
Mhm.
hadn't seen channeling most people's entire lives. Maybe
They've never
Tam saw
witnessed it.
some
Not
shit when he was
true.
out. So,
Not true. They just
wh-
didn't know they weren't seeing it.
but that's
Hmm.
different. Unless the channeling is like making them believe in some sort of weird way, like it's like tacitly, like they're just like, oh my God, like I don't know what I'm seeing, but it must be God or
Well,
whatever. But like,
Well, like think about that though. That even arises a whole new question. People in the Two Rivers were seeing healing like it was normal. They go
no,
someplace else and be like,
they
"Why does
thought
this
the
dude have
herbs
a
were really
broken leg?
powerful.
Nynaeve could have killed that in a day." You know, their normal was different.
yeah. I mean, I definitely a big difference between those who live in the cities and those who live in the country. And I mean, the Two Rivers really are like a backwater town, you know, like, and that's the whole idea is that like we see like they don't believe in, many people don't believe in Trollocs until they literally show up, right? Like those are
Yes.
also something out of a story, right? So I don't think it's epigenetic by any means. Like it's still culturally, societally passed on. There's still stories, and yes, some of the stories get lost to time because there's so much space between the common people seeing the Trollocs and a Forsaken and the one, you know, like things get lost. The one power gets lost in these backwater worlds. Now, even the Aes Sedai have forgotten things about the Age of Legends, right? So it's clear that there's still some sort of transmission, and that as people were killed in these like great battles, and like as the wheel, the turnings change, people lose access to some of this information and knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how does the idea? Okay. So like I'm trying to understand. Like it would literally be like if all of a sudden the devil was real and God was real, heaven and hell were real. You could visit
But
them.
do we
You could
really
interact with
see the
them.
devil, or do we only ever see people's
The dark.
behavior that looks evil?
Then what we I mean, like
We
Rand
never
battled
see.
the dark one.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
you say
and
the word
literally the last
Shaitan.
100 pages, 200, 300 pages of the
You say
book.
Shaitan, and you'll get sick or
But
your
that's
crops will
superstition.
fail.
But many people believe that's superstition, even in the books, right?
Maybe they also think that fades are fake. So I mean, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't it be real? I mean, everything else it seems is real when it comes to this. Everyone who doubts things are wrong. Why wouldn't it be real?
This question though, us as a society, for the most part, the people that you see every day, for the most part, know our generic ideal of what's right and wrong, correct?
Sure.
Why?
Mm.
Why do they know that?
That's right. I don't know. Why?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, because they are correct as far as the cosmic big answers. They're right. They know, and everyone knows. Josh, would this be considered epigenetic?
Epigenetic.
Epigenetic. Is that epigenetic knowledge? If everyone knows about a creator, and it is in fact a creator, and everyone knows about a dark one, and there is in fact a dark one, is that if no one experienced it, is that then
No, because it could still be being transmitted by societal norms and stories and traditions and myths. I mean, we see those, right? In the and the projections that we get from various prophecies and the stories of the past, and right, like in different cultures, like Kanshiko obviously has a museum filled with mythological objects from previous turnings of the wheel. So it's clear that information's there. What do you think the literacy rate is in the Wheel of Time?
That's a great point. And also, like, the idea that like this is still like a oral history, mostly oral history,
right?
Like society.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are books, and it seems like Rand and Matt and everyone knows how to read.
It's
is that unique to the Two Rivers, though? Is that like Kerala?
It's unique to the country,
right?
There's some countries like Tyr that
literacy is not as
commoners have less than they would in other places. So
Uno didn't know how to read.
And they talk about that with Swan.
Wait, Uno doesn't?
He learned how to read, right?
Yeah, in New Spring, they talked about how Swan Sanche had to learn how to read.
Right.
And she grew up in Tyr on the docks and in the streets in the Rahad and all those things. Oh, no,
and presumably the Sharans aren't like reading books if they're from a slave caste, right? Like,
no.
But they all read the same book, guys.
And we also know that
James fucking Farstrider.
Huh? Yeah.
We know that and also the higher up you are, the wealthier you are,
the more likely you are
access to more knowledge than you would. And even their quote unquote, not religion, but the way that they study the prophecies of the dragon, they call it the heights of ascension, levels of ascension. So, they have certain people who are at the 9th level of ascension, this level of ascension. And the higher up you are, the more you know. And we have to assume that Tylee Kirgan had some kind of knowledge about the levels of ascension because she knew about the wolf holding the hammer, the Wolf King, and all those things.
Yeah. So when I first read this whole series, I remember thinking like this is like the whole idea of the cosmology of the place, and everyone seemingly knowing what the cosmology is and being correct was all weird to me. Like it almost like.
Well, how much? Okay, let me.
So wait.
Go ahead, Ryan. I do want to take a step back from what you're saying when you're done.
So, like, even that, like the beginning of every book, it says like, wheel of time turns and ages come and pass, legends become myth fades to fucking whatever as ages turn. Like that in and of itself should tell us something, but we have this notion of there's a creator, there's a fucking wheel. There's a dark one, and there's all these like ideas of how the world works. That why is that not faded to myth? Why is that a persistent thing? How epistemologically, how is that even possible? You know what I mean? Like, why are those and I'm going to call them capital T. Well, some of them are teachers. We know there's a dark one at least. That's been confirmed. All the other shit could be just fucking wrong. And I always assumed it was wrong. like the first time I read it, I was just like, oh yeah, this is just like the way they see it. Just like I look around and most people believe in God and heaven and hell. Like that means nothing to me. I imagine if I was a Randlander, I'd be like, yeah, fuck the wheel.
I think Robert Jordan, if we asked him, he would just say they just do and just leave it at that.
I was about to say, I mean, there's an agenda here, and that's actually what I wanted to take a step back and talk about.
Something else as well.
There's an agenda. The writer has an agenda. Okay. Yeah. Robert Jordan believes this about the world. This is what he believes. This is why he writes it from this perspective, and what his mission is to convey like that this is the truth that humanity would have if they were viewing the world through my eyes. And I think that's a really important, that agenda is really important to understand and recognize.
I mean, there's also some other things that like, they have in Randland, they have the unbelievable gift of having proof of so many things, of good and evil even. They have tangible evidence that if they say the Dark One's name, something bad happens.
Right.
So, and I have a fantastic theory about that too, by the way. Um, we can talk about that later. I, for some reason, believe that the Dark One actually was made, was cursed by the creator.
Yeah, sure.
And it all goes back to the saying, his name will never be spoken.
Interesting.
I mean, it's a very Lucifer-like mythology there.
Yeah.
I mean,
But each example, though, I mean, like I'm going to put in there, each example of someone saying the Dark One's name and then something bad happening, quote unquote, like it could be coincidence. It's
mhm.
written
Could
in
be.
such a way
Could.
that it could, yeah, and you're right. And like, I think it was like, Ishamael was in a battle with Rand, and he was losing. He's like, Shaitan, come to my aid or something.
Yeah.
And then he gets a little bit more like buffed up,
Well,
but
we also know when Billy Conger said it, his entire family got yellow-eyed fever, and his entire garden crops all got
And the ground shakes. I mean, you
some
get
kind
tremors.
yeah, but I
But
mean, so we do know that it did happen. Like something bad happened at least twice.
So when we talk about so we know that the creator and the Dark One exist. You don't really need advocates for it, correct? But when Rand comes out as the dragon, this isn't a given. This is the variable, and suddenly we have a prophet. We have followers. We have people that are like acting like this is a messiah figure, but not everyone does, and not is so. This is like where the break is like, sure, there's a God, yeah, we all know that, but this guy here being the dragon, I'm not sure. And so that's where it gets a little interesting, and that's where you get the Masada or what's his name, Messama.
Masada.
Well, so yeah, so what you're saying is like what we were been trying to figure out for a little bit. Like, so there were people who didn't believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
There were people who didn't believe that Rand was the Dragon Reborn or any of this prophecy or any of these things. And there were a lot of other people who interpreted it differently. There's a lot of different interpretations about the Dark One and about, the creator and about all those things. From names to different things that other cultures thought were going to happen. So, everybody wasn't on the exact same page. Even when it comes to good and evil, there were different cultures and different people, even different towns that thought differently than some others would have.
Well, many people believe that all male channelers are evil because their last experience with male channelers was that they created the breaking, right? So, I mean,
but they were right though. Until Rand cleansed the taint, they're all gonna go mad. At some point, they're all like AI, like robots out of control, like maximum overdrive. Just fucking shit up.
So do you guys buy the term epistemic privilege?
No, and let me get into my criticism. My criticism is that like these types of philosophies, that try to like talk about humans being human, this reductive language, I think it's effective in some ways in terms of like trying to like help people. I don't know, especially like when we're talking about feminism and marginalized communities and like trying to like honor their experiences. That I'm all for that, but like to try and get at a truth of how we and know what we know, I think this is like one of the most reductive and silly ways to look at it. Like
I agree.
you could talk about like there's marginalized communities, but within that marginalized community, you could be a fucking drug kingpin, or you could be a drug mule, or you could be like like a trafficked human from the kingpin. Like all those are in that like little sub community, and but your experience within that means everything. So like it's all about perspective. It's too matrix, it's too multifaceted. If you try to like link them all together in some sort of graph, like it's a million points of light in terms of how
But I think that's the
humans
nature
like
of reality,
grow.
isn't it? I mean, that
No,
I guess I would
absolutely.
push
So
back and say that, like, well, that's actually like, it's not reductive in the sense of it's actually revealing the multiplicity that's actually there, and trying to put it within a system or a structure is actually where you fall short. So yes, it can't be structurally defined, but that doesn't mean that that knowledge isn't generated from a perspectival position, right?
no,
So
I
I guess that's
understand
where I
that,
would differ with you.
but like to just like to try and like parse things out as like okay, epistemic privilege, in the way this author was trying to get at it, which in
Okay,
the
yes.
end, I
I
think
don't agree that she did a great job, but I do think the
Mhm.
concept of epistemic privilege is real. And that, like, even if you go all the way back to like Hegel, who like coined the term, talking about the master-slave dichotomy and like the perspective, how different knowledge is generated within those systems, like there's meat to be had off that bone, like
Well,
in understanding human experience.
I'll go
yeah,
right
but
to my
yeah,
wife who has been pregnant a few times, and I will never. I mean, her standpoint theory is a privilege. I won't be able to. She's experienced something I never can do. I never will. I won't say it's because she's marginalized. I would say it's because she's not me and I'm not her, and we're just different. So that's, I think, where it comes from to a little degree, is stacking privilege on top of marginalization.
Well, it
I
doesn't
think
have to be
sometimes
marginalized. It can just different vectors of experience, right? Like when a woman tells me that they can feel the soul come into their body when a baby is incarnated in them, like I can't disagree with that, right? That is an
you
experience I
can
can
roll
have as
your
a
eyes
man.
though.
No, you
yeah,
I
can't.
you can
won't. I'm
sigh
not
under
going
your
to.
breath.
I'm going to lean into that. I'm going to lean into that because that is their experience, right? And who's to say that magic isn't real? Now, do I like have to necessarily agree that there's a soul? Well, maybe not.
Yeah, but they feel kicks. I mean, this stuff this is a privilege that we. But I don't see it as a result of marginalization unless we consider like
Well,
the
not all
whole
epistemic privilege
feminine
comes from
movement is being
marginalization.
marginalized.
It just comes from having it being a non-dominant grouping of experience,
Right. But when I'm interacting with this essay, I'm finding that there's this marginalization, not only aspect, but like catalyst.
Well, coming from I mean, again, if you from a political science or like a power-oriented perspective, you do want to honor non-majority views of the world and incorporate them into what we teach and understand about the world, so as not to whitewash everything with the dominant power, right? Whether that's patriarchy and the English language or whatever it is, right? Like, I think there's a difference between like deconstructing, saying that there is no value in the majority versus saying that like we need to also understand that the world comes in many flavors and colors and perspectives and look at them all maybe even equally, and if not equally, then at least understand that there are others that might have a valid interpretation and take a look at them.
It says here, as a viewing audience, we have the most marginal standpoint, being placed fully outside the world of the Wheel of Time. Does that mean that and it connects us to say that, we know that Tom's wrong when he thinks that Mac can channel. It's obviously not, but we know he took the thing, but they aren't privileged to that information. So are we epistemic privilege? Do you agree that because we are most marginalized, we are most privileged?
No, it's that we have information, but our marginalization does give us access to information that other characters within the story don't have because of their having the fourth wall up, right? they're behind the fourth wall in the way that we're not.
There's this whole concept in sociology of like in group, out group, and they do studies on like, if you are a part of a group, you will see your group as individuals with like a lot of variation. You'll know they're like the details. If you're looking from without the group and looking at, so like if you're in the out group, you see the in group as like a homogenized group,
Definitely.
right? Yeah, and so I'm seeing this throughout this whole concept. Like, yes, I understand that. Like, if you're like a marginalized group looking at like the bourgeoisie, you could see them maybe with some truth, but also like if you're in the bourgeoisie, like you have access to knowledge that's relevant, that's not relevant to the marginalized group, and it's all what is like about what is valuable to your survival. Anyway, so there's a lot of
Right.
ways of looking at it, but
Yeah, I mean
I always,
the general may not know the horses' names, like the guy who is in charge of the stables knows the horses' names. So yeah, on a detail level, this little, let's call him Willie in the stables knows more about the horses than the general. But the general does not have epistemic well to
all right, sir. I'm Willie. I'm ready. Do you need your horse? Do you need your horse to
Willie,
be bridled?
Willie, here, catch a coin.
I got it. Oh, thank you. I'm Willie from the horse.
Willie,
From
go
the
get my
horses.
horse. You remember my horse's name, don't you?
Oh yeah, your horse's name Beauregard.
No, you
third.
stupid. It's Willie's never seen disco boobs.
Stableman Willie.
Willie is seeing sounds and hearing colors.
Yeah.
Ryan, you're muted.
Yeah, so we started this project and we're going to continue this project. I think universally this article was not as
Not as liked.
yeah, and its focus on the show itself was
Mhm.
supremely
Almost as if she
disappointing.
had AI do it.
Yeah, there's
It was a little pre-AI.
It did seem like it was a longer piece that was cut in half, and
It
they just
did.
cut off the front and cut off
Mhm.
like
it's here's what I felt. It would have been what I would have done writing as like, oh my God, I got like a 10-page essay I gotta write. I'm gonna flesh it out with a lot of like show recap and then couple points
yeah.
that
She
aren't
only
Yeah,
had
remember,
two
this-
resources.
She might have been an
So
undergraduate. Not all these people are professors. Some of them are undergraduates. Some
she's
of
an
them are
assistant
graduate
professor.
students.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. Like,
Way
you know,
better if she written about the book, Tom.
Totally.
I know it's
Yeah.
funny. I called
She
my
might
brother and
different
I
places.
called my brother and I was like, man, I wish you read the books. And he's like, yeah, I wish you read the books too.
Next week, we are getting to the subsection called Alive,
Alive.
Gloriously Alive today. And
Nice.
chapter 4 is
I have
called
a T-shirt that says that, so I will wear that shirt.
Oh
That is
shit, nice.
that is a quote that we get from after the battle when Rand comes over with the Aiel for the first time, and Matt is sitting there after he'd killed Couladin, and the Band of the Red Band is saying "Alive, gloriously alive today," and that's in this book.
Mhm. We'll be reading chapter 4. It's called The Anti-Natalist in the Aes Sedai. Should Randolph Thor save the world? By Kenneth R. Pike. So yeah,
All
we're gonna
right,
get into
natalism.
should Rand do this? Which I like.
Yeah, we
Guys,
might get
thanks.
my biggest.
Go ahead.
No, the funny, like the biggest argument against this whole thing is just like the people who knew the most were the most connected.
Mhm.
And then if you read the books, like that would have like undermined her entire argument, but she didn't. She didn't know about Cat Swain. She didn't know about fucking,
Mhm.
you know, Maureen's like body of knowledge. So yeah, like Deus and I were like the dominant group, and
You know about Mistress Harford.
Right.
all of it, or
You know? I mean,
Herrenfeld.
seriously.
God damn it, I miss Herrenfeld. Josh, I feel like you're the Herrenfeld of Tavern Talk. All right, yeah, everyone, join us in Discord. Take your shirts off. We're gonna be hanging out, talking.
We're
I'm
alive,
on
gloriously
vacation.
alive today.
Sounds good.
All right,
Bye.
I love you all.
See you guys next week. I
Peace
should be home
upon you. Happy
next week.
Thanksgiving.
Have a great
Run for your
Thanksgiving.
lives. This is the way.